What is that? Hi guys, so the Bitcoin bubble, is it recording? Will pop. Well, it won't continue to rise, but the question is, when will the bearish period arrive? And when will the Bitcoin bubble actually burst? It's so exciting.
Okay.
Because again, the Bitcoin bubble, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, will actually burst at some point. Now, on this channel, we don't trade and we don't speculate. I am a responsible mother and I own humans, guys. So building long-term wealth for said humans is how responsible I am. For me, responsible returns equate to about 10% a year, which to many may sound absurd.
No need to follow me because I just said what I was going to do.
But that does seem a little bit stupid when we watch the Bitcoin market, as I do. I've been watching the Bitcoin market a while now, and that's because Bitcoin is unreal. It's up 700%, guys. 700 beep percent.
God, I can't stop.
If we did think this Bitcoin bubble will burst, how can we trade that scenario without losing our clothes? Well, don't worry. I'll cover a potential strategy to short later on, which I read from many traders out there who have shorted Bitcoin successfully, and I liked it. So you can make more money on a Bitcoin bubble pop, should you want to. Also, I want to give you my thoughts on why there is a major Bitcoin correction coming. It's coming, guys. You know, remember how winter was coming? Well, the Bitcoin bubble is coming. But first of all, we are now in mid-April and Bitcoin has continued to smash through all the peaks and now firmly feeling like a bubble for those, myself included, guys, who are watching from the sidelines. As I said, in the last 12 months, Bitcoin has generated close to 700%. That's insane in the membrane. So let's sprinkle those facts and see if we should get involved. FOMO is a big deal, guys. I have major FOMO and I keep telling myself that 10% return in the equity market is good, and it is, but FML, as I was saying, 10% is okay, but it isn't 700%. I'm not gonna lie. I know. So the biggest aspect of this FOMO for me is the opportunity cost, the lost potential, the if I wish I had the balls thing. Now, I know the community has been on the bandwagon of Bitcoin very ferociously in the last few months, but if you are in my position and thinking of buying Bitcoin and feeling the FOMO, then heed caution to hysteria, guys. Straight up, just gonna put it out there, heed caution. There are reasons why Bitcoin lovers think this time will be different. It's like getting into a bad relationship, right?
This is definitely fruity.
I am kind of in that camp too, as I can see all the rationale to love Bitcoin, and I'm a romantic. I really want to love it, and my FOMO is even harder to deal with. Honestly, I have the worst FOMO. I know it's all about YOLO now, but I still have FOMO.
Stupid.
That's stupid.
Especially now that the fundamentals of Bitcoin have actually changed when it comes to investing. Now, fundamentals are so important in determining a good investment decision. With Bitcoin and digital assets though, the fundamentals right now are very positive. However, they are also very hard to value the quantum. So what are the strongest fundamentals? First of all, there's been a huge shift in official attitudes towards digital currencies, with central banks increasingly viewing them as the future of finance rather than a threat to finance.
Hello?
Increased investor interest from institutional investors, and not just the retail investors that dabble in them and speculate on those movements, but we're talking about big firms and banks taking an interest in them, and that's a big deal. And once again, that FOMO creeps up behind my shoulder. The institutional investors in turn create the hype for retail investors like us, and the retail investors get very excited and pile in. We then love to talk about how much money we're making across YouTube and to everyone that will listen on actually buying Bitcoin. Another fundamental, and one of the strongest in my book, is that people have no faith in fiat currency anymore. Well, I say no, but it's dwindling really. But why is that? Why? Let me tell you guys.
Maybe it was too ahead of its time for certain people.
Now, the problem with fiat is because they're controlled by governments, and governments have been printing money like no tomorrow. A ton of it, let me tell you that. But why is this the problem? Why? So printing money causes inflation, and inflation is a big concern all around.
Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
Right.
not just printing money, but also the recovery from the pandemic. It's also expected to be inflationary. I have a whole host of videos on inflation, but you can click right here to see my latest chit chat on inflation. Now, Bitcoin is seen as a natural hedge for inflation because you can't print Bitcoin. It's bloody difficult to mine, and as time goes on, it'll become even more difficult. There'll only ever be 21 million Bitcoin circulated. You can't create more. That's it. It's one of those exclusive things.
Back rolls.
And because it can't be reproduced, it makes it a potentially good hedge against inflation. And that is nice. The fundamentals are stronger. Bitcoin becomes even more visible. And as it does, some central banks have become more interested in Bitcoin. And others have become a lot more interested in the idea of Bitcoin, especially for those making payments. They remain deeply skeptical about Bitcoin too. In fact, the European Central Bank and the Bank of England are calling for tighter regulation of digital currency. Actually, our bank, Bank of England, has gone as far as planning to release its own digital currency to discourage Bitcoin or other currency where it has no control. Can you imagine treating your own demon? By the way, this desire to control that Bitcoin cookie is coming at the same time as a handful of hedge funds and technology companies are investing in Bitcoin too. Now, even long-time skeptical banks like JP Morgan have become roaring Bitcoin cookie fiends, predicting Bitcoin hitting 130k. Mind blown. Now, one thing I do realize from my shortish time as an investor is when things get fever pitch, they're beginning to top out. And there is a technical term for it. As you know, I like my science, I like the technicality. It's called capitulation. This is a red flag event, guys, and it indicates that the market has hit its peak. This, coupled with two fundamental flaws that Bitcoin still has. What is that? Which is, it's still difficult to use Bitcoin as a mode of exchange, and it's very volatile, and so it still has some way to go to become a firm asset class. So the question is, how do you short it? Well, I did tell you I'd get round. First bit of advice is probably don't short it. It's hard to call. If you are going to short, look for a substantive fall from its current level. Many traders who want to short are pointing to short once prices fall between 40,000, and when you do short it, limit your risk by having a stop loss, and keep it at a good buffer of 50% above the 40% entry point. So at a bet of £50 per £1,000 of Bitcoin, you then limit your risk to about £1,000. Well, I could explain that again, or you could just rewind. By the by, the other way to handle Bitcoin FOMO is to invest in Bitcoin associated investments. There are a few ways that allow us to be exposed to Bitcoin without having to invest directly in Bitcoin. You can also invest in Bitcoin tax-free. So to see how to invest in Bitcoin and other digital currencies, and do it under the umbrella of a tax-protected ISA. It's harder than you think, as you can't really currently hold Bitcoin directly in an ISA or a SIP. So click here and I'll show you how to do it, and I'll see you over there.